Murakami is a big name and a big possibility, but today we're going to share why the Angels shouldn't try to land this big fish.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and the #1 sports podcast network in all the land. Murakami is a power hitter that's coming over from the MPB, but would he be a bad fit for the Halos? We think so, and we'll share some reasons. What other names from the MPB should the Halos consider? We've got some good names and some good conversation, and our favorite team did make a move this offseason. Wasn't huge, but it was really interesting, and we think for the benefit of the bullpen. We're going to share who and why it works for the Halos. Before we talk Halos, we want to thank our sponsor, Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
Hey, we're coming off our 4th season as the host of Locked On Angels, talking Angels baseball with you every Monday through Friday, including this offseason. Plus, it's our desire and our hope that you'll leave here a more informed Angels fan, a smarter Angels fan, and so we hope you feel that way by the end of the show. And on today's show, Mike, we're talking about why Murakami doesn't work for this team when, it seems like it'd be fun to sign that big fish, as you mentioned, right?
Yeah, 25 years old, John, plays third base and plays first base. He broke the single-season home run record in 2022 in the MPB with 56 home runs that season. I wonder if he had easier baseballs to hit, like Aaron Judge.
Like juiced balls?
Yeah. I wonder if they cheat over there like they cheat over here. He has a lot of power. He's a left-handed bat. John, immediately when we heard his name, we, along with other Angel fans, were very intrigued. And obviously, there's a lot of factors on if Murakami will even consider the Angels. One of the biggest factors is the owner, Hardy Marino, right? And the organization he runs and the money that he spends. But we like to live in fantasy land for a little bit on Locked On Angels.
Which ironically is in Disneyland. So there you go.
Just down the street, right? And the question we're asking today is, if Hardy does spend the money and Murakami wants to be here, would that actually be a good fit for the Halos? John, our opinion is probably not.
Right.
And there are 4 specific reasons why. Why don't you hit us with the first one?
Yeah, the first reason why Murakami might not be a good fit for the Angels is that he's got big swing and miss numbers in his game. Now, the NPB does have a lower strikeout environment than Major League Baseball. However, taking that into consideration, his strikeout rates have hovered around 30% for each of the past 3 years. Some evaluators see a lot of holes in his swing. They say it's an elongated swing. It could be exploited by high velocity, the nasty breaking stuff. Remember that NPB is not known for super high velo either. And so making the jump to the MLB would be pretty tough. Now, per Fangraphs, Murakami's contact rate against fastballs 93 miles an hour or greater is only 63% since the 2022 season. That's not good, friends. In 2025, his contact rate against secondary pitches was only 51%. Now, typically a player's strikeout rate going from NPB to MLB does not drastically shrink. And if anything, it increases. And Yoshida and Seiya Suzuki are good examples of this. And that's why evaluators suggest Murakami may sell out for even more power or need to make some adjustments to his swing.
Yeah, one scout said this is just kind of who he is. He is a strikeout guy and a home run guy, and he's going to have to answer the question, can he do enough damage with a home run ball to make him worth this signing and to pay him all this money? There's been some comparisons, John, that he's going to be kind of in the middle of Kyle Schwarber and Joey Gallo productions. And Kyle Schwarber, home runs, obviously, low batting average. Joey Gallo, lots of strikeouts. Multiple evaluators describe his power as a 70 or 80 grade, which is really
That's
really good.
Real good, friends.
That's real good, right? That's the highest in the industry on the scouting scale. But the strikeouts, John, huge red flag. And for our favorite team, who struck out, may I remind you, over 1,600 times last year, first in the league. We're number one, right? They don't need any more strikeouts. And Murakami is a guy who's going to strike out a lot. And coming to the major leagues, that doesn't seem like it's going to go down. It seems like it's going to move up.
It's like you said, we've got enough of that on the roster already. Hopefully that changes with some different hitting instruction. Obviously, as of this recording, we don't have any news on who the new hitting coach is going to be. But if it's in the vein of Mike Maddox, then hopefully we get somebody on that level. He was the pitching coach that they brought on. And so if it's somebody as good as him at pitching, that's the hitting coach, I'm not going to complain.
No.
That. But Mike, the second reason here that Murakami might not be a great fit for the Halos is that he's not a high average guy. His batting average is not high, and so he's going to have to figure out how to get on base in multiple ways. The same scout from that earlier report we shared said the biggest key is he going to be able to walk enough. Going to have to make some mechanical adjustments to his swing just to be able to battle better against high velocity. And, he's going to have to be able to check that swing when you're that powerful. Yeah. It's real hard to check that swing. So he's going to have to be able to make those adjustments too. And, he evolves year after year. It's just going to be how quickly he is able to do it.
Yeah. Third reason why the Angels should not sign Murakami is he's not a great defender, John. Scouts generally rate him as a below average defender. One NL scout said, the nicest way to put it is that Murakami is capable of picking up the ball at third base and making the throw to first. That's not good, right? Like, that's not what you want on the back of your baseball card or what you want on MLB The Show, right? Hey, he can pick up the ball and he can throw it over to first base.
That sounds like your scouting report over at third base.
Yeah, because I sucked. That's it, John. That's really kind of the scouting report. They said his arm is questionable and he lacks range. He's better suited for first base than third base, placing an even greater premium on his bat. And that's been the biggest tension is you sign him for third base, but he'll probably end up being a first baseman, maybe even a DH along the way.
Yeah, and that's part of the issue too, is the Angels defense was not great either. Surprisingly, it was Luis Rengifo, Mike, who was the best at second base and, was qualified for that Gold Glove. By the way, Gold Gloves are a scam. I just want everybody to know that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that because Rengifo was nominated. It's essentially like, the Golden Globes, like that's all paid for. That's all bought. And I think that Gold Gloves are kind of the same situation. Now, back on topic, let me give you the fourth reason why Murakami wouldn't be a great fit. He's got an injury history, Mike. He might not even be able to play third base in the major leagues. He had a broken toe that ended his 2024 season. Then he had an off-season elbow surgery, an oblique injury.
Oh, stay away from the obliques.
Yeah.
You don't want anybody else.
When you're swinging the bat that hard, it's going to happen, Mike. And so another scout had to say this. I don't think his offense is going to be able to make up for his defensive issues. I don't think third base is a realistic position for him in the big leagues. I think first is going to be a work in progress. I don't see left field being realistic. Now, having said all that, let's rewind our brains back to prior to 2018 when a little someone named Shohei Ohtani was coming over from Japan. And a lot of people had their doubts. They wondered if he could be the two-way player that he turned into. Obviously, he's the unicorn. We got to see it happen right in front of our eyes. He grew up with the Angels, friends. That's what I'm going to say. And meanwhile, Dodger blogs said that, we dodged that one. Good thing we didn't get him. We never had that sentiment. Now, here's the thing. Ohtani turned out just fine. But are these red flags cause for great concern and good reasons not to pursue the 25-year-old Murakami? What do you say?
I think for the Angels, they are good reasons because in his game are all the things that the Angels already have and already struggle with. You don't want to just compound that. You need different hitters in this lineup. You and I've talked about it all season long. It's Taylor Ward, Taylor Ward, Taylor Ward, Taylor Ward, or Mike Trout, Mike Trout, Mike Trout, right? It's the same hitter all the way through. It's the same approach all the way through. Obviously, that has a lot to do with the hitting coach, but you also need a variety of hitters. We saw how important Nolan Shawneewell was in this lineup when he wasn't in this lineup. He was the guy that would extend the lineup. He's the guy dropping the ball in between left and center and knocking in runs. He's the guy slapping it the other way. He's pulling it down the right field line. He's utilizing that short porch in right field. Sometimes he hit it over the big wall, hit it into the Angels in the outfield out there. That was a great scene. That's what we need. We need another bat like that. We've talked often about, like, I love Luis Ariz. I don't think he'd be a good signing because his numbers have really regressed, like the underlining numbers. But we need a hitter like that. We need somebody that's going to slap the ball around. It's like it's why we liked Okamoto, because he was somebody that is more of a pure hitter, not a power hitter. The Angels have enough power. Now, knowing the Angels' luck, they'll probably not have the same amount of power that they had this last season, next season. But if they get a good hitting coach, they could turn that around and be more of a Blue Jays style hitting team, which is exactly what the Angels did in 2002 when they won the World Series. So all that to say, I know that Murakami's going to be a good guy. He's going to
be a lot of fun to watch for sure.
Absolutely. I just don't think that he would be a good move for the Angels, because he is exactly what they have right now, and he is exactly what they struggle with right now, and they need some fresh faces that bring a fresh perspective to this lineup.
Yeah, it's funny because he does everything he does great is what the Angels do, right? He's going to hit for power, he's going to do all that, but everything that they're bad at, defense, strikeouts, on base, you just can't keep ticking the same boxes and think that anything's going to change. Now, having said all that, you and I both know, and we did a whole episode about this on Perry Manassian and the kinds of hitting coaches he's brought in who emphasize slugging, and hard hit. So while you and I say this probably isn't a good move, who knows?
Feels like a Perry move, doesn't it?
It feels like a Perry move, and it feels like he would bring him in and have some kind of hitting coach that would emphasize and exploit these talents, really.
Yeah.
And that's the big concern is I'm not even sure he'll fall between Schwarber and Joey Gallo. I think he will be Kyle Schwarber or Joey Gallo, and that's very, very concerning to me. But again, it just isn't the right fit for the Angels, and that's okay. And like I said, he's going to have his highlights. He's going to be exciting. Nothing against the guy himself.
Right.
It's just that on this version of the Angels, what we just saw in 2025, that's not a good thing at all.
And to be clear, when we talk about, and you talk about he's going to be more Kyle Schwarber, you're talking about the strikeout in his game. It's going to be all power or it's going to be a strikeout, right? Schwarber also has the walk in his game, but it sounds like Murakami doesn't have that in his game at the moment. And that's going to be the problem if he signs with the Angels. They struggled with getting on base. They had one of the worst on base percentages in 2025, below
297.
Yeah. And that's not good. 297 is great for a batting average, not great for on base percentage.
No. And look at what Kyle Schwarber did this year. I mean, he kind of rounded out all the parts of his game to where, he was certainly benefiting himself in his walk year. That's for sure. So It's not as if Murakami can't get there and become what Kyle Schwarber was this last year, but it's probably going to be a lot of 3 true outcomes for Murakami in MLB. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, are there other players from overseas that make sense for the Angels? And then the Angels made a tiny, little, small relief move that actually fits this team. We're going to have those conversations in just a minute.
Had a friend that went to the Chargers Steelers game at SoFi on Sunday night. Had an incredible time, even though their favorite team, the Chargers, did lose. They had an incredible time, so much fun, ate hot dogs, celebrated with fans, got to hang out. They tailgated for a while. John, they got their tickets on Game Time. They said it was fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. What I love about Game Time is you're always going to get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all the fees are included. The price you see is the price you're going to pay. It's so fast, it's cheaper, and it's less stressful than any other way that you'll buy tickets. So download the app right now and create an account and use our promo code like my friend did. They used Locked On MLB, got $20 off their first purchase. Again, promo code Locked On MLB, got $20 off their first purchase. Swipe, tap, ticket, and go. Download the Game Time app today.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. It's the #1 sports podcast network. Officially, we made it, and you have helped us make it by making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Check us out wherever you listen to podcasts. Of course, whether you're watching or listening, we invite you to get into the conversation on YouTube, get in the comments section, and we always read everything. We try our best to get back to everybody. We definitely see your comments. Often they inspire conversations, they inspire good rhetoric, good dialogue, and so we appreciate you jumping in there. Mike, the Angels have a lot of needs this offseason, starting pitching, third base. They need a lot of depth. Now, can any of those needs be met with players coming over from Japan or perhaps the KBO? There's a lot of players coming over from overseas that are set to sign with an MLB team this offseason. Let's get into the first one.
Yeah, Tatsuya Imai is a right-handed pitcher, 27 years old, somebody that many people didn't know about, and then suddenly everybody knew about. And he has been posted, so he is going to be somebody that people are interested in. Now, he's a right-handed pitcher with a plus arsenal, according to scouts. He has a plus fastball, sits at 95 to 99, which is great for the NPB. Will be right in line with a lot of pitchers in Major League Baseball. But scouts say that his slider is actually his best weapon. He also throws a cutter that can sometimes blend with the slider. Scouts are torn on his splitter. They refer to it as a plus pitch, but in the minds of at least one American League evaluator, it's very inconsistent. Scouts said that the splitter comes and goes a bit, but when it's right, it's a really, really good pitch. And the splitter is always a difference maker for guys when they come over from Japan to America to play baseball over here. Now, he's been compared to Daisuke Matsuzaka. Remember Daisuke? He was great. Now, The Athletic projects that he will get a 8-year, $190 million contract. So that's some good money for a 27-year-old that sounds like he'll be at best a 3 and possibly, if not a 3, a 4 in a starting rotation.
Interesting. Yeah. You know, when you watch somebody like Yamamoto, right, in the World Series, obviously he didn't make a lot of mistakes in the World Series, but where he did make a mistake was against the Phillies in the championship series, where he kind of left that splitter hanging and the Phillies took advantage of that. And so perhaps that's kind of what they're mentioning here when it comes to an inconsistent splitter. But Mike, when we watched the World Baseball Classic in 2023, that was what Team Japan did the best. It was all those guys throwing splitters, and they were nasty. All of them were nasty. So that is definitely something that they have in their back pocket in the NPB. How about Cody Ponce, Mike? That's a familiar name. He was born in California, played with the Pirates in 2020 and 2021. Scouts believe he could be poised for an MLB return as a much improved pitcher. He spent 3 seasons in Japan where he had decent, not great results. And then he went to the KBO last season, had a 1.89 ERA, struck out 252 batters. Multiple scouts describe his stuff as electric when he's right. Since he moved to the KBO, he made some mechanical adjustments. Fastball's up to 98. He also threw a curveball, slider, and a changeup. And so definitely seems like he could be on the way back to MLB.
Yeah, another right-handed pitcher from the NPB is Kona Takahashi. He is set to enter his age 29 season. Less buzz about him, but he's dominated, and he's dominated recently, John. 2022, 2023, he had an ERA of 2.20 and 221 in those 2 seasons. His velocity has been inconsistent, so there's some questions about that and some fears that his fastball is a little too hittable. He's capable of pitching in the major leagues, but he has low strikeout rates, and so some are saying that he's got to be really good on the edges. He's got to be really good. Think Kyle Hendricks. Yeah. Think Tyler Anderson, kind of that mode of a pitcher where he's going to be pitching to contact. He's got to really rely on some of his soft stuff because his fastball needs to surprise the hitter, because if they're counting on it, it sounds like from the stats and from what scouts are saying that they could really mash it.
Third baseman Sung Mun Song is a late bloomer from the KBO. Versatile defender, greatly improved his plate production over the last 2 seasons. Now he's 29, considered a level below a KBO comp like Ha-Sung Kim. In other words, people see him as more of a utility type player than an everyday player. But you got to have some depth, Mike, and we know that the Angels are certainly lacking in that department. And then there's Kang Bak-ho, who's a first baseman, outfielder, and catcher. Obviously, Mike and I are the whitest guys in the world, so apologies for our pronunciations.
I think we're doing pretty good.
I think
we got some help in the comments yesterday from a few
everydayers. That was great.
We appreciate that. So hey guys, doing our best.
We're doing our best, and we appreciate everybody who chimed in and helped with that. So, 26-year-old Kang Bak-ho is likely to make the move from Korea, but he could end up re-signing in the KBO. The plans for him to start training in the U.S. in November, and then kind of decide from there. He's a left-handed batter. He's got a 304 batting average, an 877 OPS. He had an average exit velocity of 94. His max exit velocity, Mike, 116.
Wow.
Off the bat. He can play first, play the outfield, and can be a club's third catcher as well. He's a free agent after the 2025 season, so there's not going to be a posting fee attached to him either.
This is how you know John's a good brother. He gave me the easy ones. Left-handed pitcher Foster Griffin is going to be available, and left-handed pitcher Anthony Kay is going to be available. Let me talk about Griffin. He is a former Kansas City Royal and Toronto Blue Jay. He's a candidate to return to baseball. He had a really good season for the Giants in Japan last year, 1.62 ERA. And then Anthony Kay, again, former Major League Baseball player, former first-round draft pick. He's drawing some interest after 2 seasons in Japan as well. John, obviously, all of this is kind of in the air, and we like to speculate wildly because it's the offseason, and that's what Angel fans do in the offseason. These names are interesting. As we went down the list, I think they get less interesting. But as we get down the list, I think it's probably the bottom third of the list that might be more interesting to the Angels. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and when you say interesting to the Angels, it's essentially where they would play versus like what the Yankees might do, right?
Yes.
Or another big team might do in trying to bring some of these guys over. Mike, I'm interested in a lot of the guys who, played in MLB and then they go somewhere and then they come back. I think of Eric Fetty, right? And how he was coming back to Major League Baseball. He signed with the White Sox. Eventually they traded him to the Cardinals. And then he just fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if sometimes there's an expiration date on these American players who play in MLB, they go overseas, and then they come back and they're really great. But then I don't know. I don't know if the game catches up to them. I don't know if they get figured out. Maybe the scouting is different over here than it is in Japan or Korea. But all of that to say, I look at the names here, and obviously starting pitching stuff is really exciting. Tatsuya Imai, right? That's going to be an intriguing one. But I just don't think that that's where the Angels play.
Agreed.
However, when it comes to some depth, I think that maybe some of these guys could be options for the Angels. Sung Mun Song, Kang Bak-ho, like those could be some good, intriguing options for them to, get some starts and also provide some much needed depth that they would definitely need. Anybody make sense to you out of this list?
I'm looking at Takahashi, and for some reason, when I looked at his numbers, John, and I know he's more of a soft thrower, he did remind me of Shigetoshi Hasegawa when he pitched for the Angels. Now, Hasegawa had a lot of strikeouts. I wouldn't say a lot of strikeouts, but he probably had more of a strikeout in his game than Takahashi. But when I compared the stats they looked very similar as they were coming over from Japan. So that might be somebody that the Angels are interested in. I look at some of these guys as depth pieces for the Angels. I think if you can get them for that's cost effective, right? And you don't have to pay a posting fee and all of those things. And they can play multiple positions. Again, why we like Okamoto, because he can play multiple positions. I think that maybe you can get some of these younger guys and have them play multiple positions. If you can just maybe distract other teams from getting them, right? Like, we like Hasa Kim when he was out there, and then the Dodgers ended up getting him, and how the Dodgers used him was a pinch runner, and he came in as a defensive replacement, and he was a guy who could slap the ball around, right? I think you could do that with some of these guys that are coming over from the NPB, and they can play multiple positions, which is what I think the Angels need, because they need depth. They're not going to sign a bunch of guys, but they do need guys that can play first, second, third, maybe left field, right? And there's a couple of players here that can play first, outfield, and play catcher, so I think they're intriguing for Anaheim.
I'm smiling because you reminded me of Hisashi Iwakuma from the Mariners. Remember, he came over in 2012, and I think I have like a special place in my heart for him because I think I drafted him in fantasy, and he just crushed it. In fact, in 2013, he was third in Cy Young voting, an all-star, a 7-WAR player per Baseball Reference, and he came over at age 31, Mike. So I think what this proves and goes to show is that age is just a number. Don't let these ages fool you, especially with these guys entering like age 29 seasons. They can come over and be effective in Major League Baseball. But yeah, that's a fun time. Was 13 years ago now. Oh, good grief, man. Time is flying by. But yeah, Iwakuma, what a great name. What a great pitcher. Only pitched till 2017 too, which is really crazy.
Time to get in on that NBA action with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. If you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel allows you to do that. They have live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making a late push. So right now, FanDuel is offering new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Hey, the Angels did make a small move
itty-bitty
this offseason. And, I saved you from some of the names that might be difficult for you to pronounce.
Yeah.
But man, I have not been able to get this guy's name right. So please help me get it right.
Cody Lawsen is the guy.
Lawsen.
Yeah, Lawsen. Thanks to Jeff Fletcher from the OC Register for giving that pronunciation. He did that on Twitter, and he did it in his article. And so helping us out. I like that. Cody Lawsen, and he was claimed off for the waivers from the Twins. He's 27, John. Made his debut in baseball last year through 7 2/3 innings, 1.17 ERA, 1.31 FIP. Now, obviously, small sample size, but he has a career 3.39 ERA in the minors and a 10.3 K/9 ratio. John, he's a former 14th round draft pick, and our buddy from AngelsWin.com, Ryan Falla, had some interesting things to say about him, didn't he?
My favorite Falla on Twitter. Let's go. Low-key, a solid get for the Angels. 27 years old, a career 3.39 ERA in the minors. That's across 327 innings and 376 strikeouts, a 2.84 ERA in AAA, and that's across 25 1/3 innings pitched in 25. Extremely small sample size, as you mentioned, Mike, but for a waiver pickup, that's a really good value for a guy coming off the waiver wire.
Yeah, now Lawson throws a fastball between 92 and 94, a cutter 84 to 86, and a changeup 82 to 84. He's got average swing and miss on his pitches, but he doesn't walk a lot of guys, John. He throws strike one and he throws strike two. So sounds like a good pickup. He has 3 option years remaining, so he can be brought up and sent down the next 3 years. John, thoughts on Cody Lawsen potentially being a guy that maybe is in the bullpen next year, or at least somebody that they could grab from the minor leagues in AAA and bring up to fill a spot?
I think that's what it needs to be, Mike, to have somebody that has 3 option years remaining. Remember, that means that they can be moved up and down throughout the whole season. And then after they use that, then he has 2 option years remaining. So one thing that's missing a lot of the times from a lot of bullpens, and over the past couple of years up until I'd say 24, 25, is that the Angels didn't have a lot of flexibility with optioning guys. For example, remember how we hung on to Jaime Barria and Jose Suarez forever?
Yeah.
And they would throw 40, 50 pitches in long relief. Normally, it would benefit the team to, quote unquote, send those guys down to the minors and bring somebody up because their arm is spent. They can't throw any more than what they've thrown. And so you have some freedom to move some guys around, get some fresh arms in the bullpen. In the last 2 years, we've had a lot of rookie guys in the bullpen, those with option years, so they can be sent up or sent down and brought up. And I think that this is a really good move for the Angels. Not to mention that the results are really intriguing as well. Again, small sample size in MLB, but a great sample size across the minor leagues. And having those options is fantastic. So I don't imagine he'd start in the majors. I think that I would like to see them get some more reliable and proven track record guys to start out of the bullpen. But he certainly seems like a great arm that you can turn to. And I'm going to botch his name again, but Lawson.
Lawerson.
Lawson.
Law. I thought the law and the Lawerson one. Yeah.
Lawson. Am I saying the W? Lawson?
I don't know. You're the English.
Why am I overthinking this? I can't get it right.
If we can get the names from the NPB right, you can get this one right.
Yeah, no kidding, man. But that's the thing, Mike, is when you have a guy like this off the waiver wire, this is a great pickup. And these are the kind of moves that are going to happen over the offseason. People are going to go, well, where's all the heavy hitters and the big head honchos? That's TBD, right? That doesn't happen right now. That's going to happen later on.
I would assume that Lawerson is going to be the guy who starts in the bullpen at the beginning of the year, depending on what happens with Robert Stevenson and with Ben Joyce. I don't think that Robert Stevenson and Ben Joyce, maybe more Ben Joyce than Robert, I don't think that he's going to be in the bullpen to start the season. He'll probably do spring training, and then they'll probably have him do some minor league stuff to really ramp up, and we'll probably see Ben Joyce maybe late April, early May. And I think Lawerson will be a guy that maybe just fills that spot, not necessarily the role, but fills that spot in the minor leagues until they're confident that they can run with these 2 big arms in the back of the bullpen. And then depending on if they do re-sign Kenley Jansen, that will be also, I think, he could fill that role at that spot, not that role, but fill that spot in the bullpen.
It's certainly a better position to be in this year than last year because there were so many question marks coming into the bullpen.
Yeah, true.
And then they actually followed through with those question marks. Ryan Johnson, of course, just impressed throughout spring. They tried him out in the bullpen, and it just was too much too soon. And then they had the waiver pickup, the Rule 5 guy from the Dodgers that they gave a shot to, who something changed there.
McDaniel? Was it McDaniel?
Yeah. And Garrett McDaniel, right?
Yeah. That's how much of an impact he had.
The weird thing is that he looked like one pitcher in spring training.
Yeah.
And then remember he disappeared for like a few weeks, came back, and he looked like a different pitcher.
Yeah.
It was like, did you guys use the pitching lab and you made him worse? That's not good. So, that's neither here nor there. Now, all of that to say, it just feels like the Angels could be and could put themselves in a better position out of the bullpen to start 2026.
Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Be sure to like and subscribe while you're here. It's the best way to stay updated on all things Angels throughout the offseason.
Hey, be sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Super Halo Bros. By the way, if you're interested, I finished up an article on our Substack, our Super Halo Bros Substack. You can find the link in the episode description. Very intriguing, and it's kind of something we're going to get into tomorrow, right, Mike?
Yeah, we're going to talk about how Perry Manassian is going to need to address the many needs of the Angels, and we've got the problems. We've identified it. You're welcome. We've got the problems that they need to fix, and perhaps share some of the players that might just get the job done. We're going to talk about that tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to that conversation. We hope you'll come back and join us. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
All right, for the sickos who love this team and the everydayers who love to watch and listen, we'll see you back here on Wednesday.
You see the everydayer that said, stop calling us sickos. Oh, by the way, I'm a sicko. I keep watching this team.
I'm just going to sit here and practice Lawson.